Appreciate you guys showing up. This is S&M Trading with another educational series for you guys. I know last week we took a break, but we're back this week. And today we're going to be talking about fundamental analysis breakdown. And I know we really pushed in our previous videos the technical aspect as far as marking up your charts properly, being able to identify market structure and support resistance, candlestick formations, things of that nature. But we're going to be delving into the other part of trading. And I would say personally, it's pretty, not pretty equal, but it's just as important as technical analysis, if not more important, because these news events that take place, they really give a really good, they boost the charts. They boost your overall perspective of the move that you're trying to make within the charts. And sometimes we all know, if we have any experience in trading, that the move can go totally against our analysis, and we have no idea why. Most likely, it's going to be a current event or something that happened, or maybe a speech by a president, or trade talks with China, or something going on. So while we're here, I'm going to give you guys some material that you can refer to when it comes to trying to track all the economic events that take place within the trading world. So we'll go ahead and start out. Right now I'm on UJ. I'm going to be correlating 3 pairs today, just to show the significance of certain fundamental events that do happen in the economy. We'll be bouncing back and forth between the DXY, gold, and USD Jpy. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the other pairs and everything because it does take a lot more analysis, and I would like to keep this video relatively short, just so you guys can see a couple examples of how certain news events trigger movements within the market. Okay, so let me go ahead and get rid of this, and boom. All right, cool. So starting off, I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with Forex Factory. Okay, if you're not, then I would highly suggest that you either add this to your tabs in your browser. There's also an app that you can download that refers back to Forex Factory as its economic news source, which is my FX book. Automatically defaults to forexfactory.com. So you can pull up all your news events, kind of like a quick reference or a quick check to see, like, hey, I'm about to place this trade. Let me check if I have any news events going on around my pair. So you use that as a quick reference. You can also use it as a thorough or part of a thorough breakdown of your fundamental analysis, because just like with the technical side, when you're marking up your charts and all these different factors that go into breaking down a move you're looking to make within the market to make some money, it's the same thing with the fundamental aspect. You can't just go off of one source. Okay, there's a lot of sources out there. I'm only going to give you 3 today. I encourage you to do your due diligence and find some more sources out there, some reputable sources that aren't really opinionated. We want like factual sources, like just hard evidence. Like, for instance, with Forex Factory, you can see where you have tabs up here that say forums, and these are all different types of people that are giving their opinions on either what has happened or what will happen with certain currency pairs, with gold, silver, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of opinions out there when it comes to the fundamentals. So the forums, and it's fine to maybe find somebody that you not know, but maybe somebody you follow, somebody whose opinion that you trust. That's all good and well. As far as forming your own basis, just like we encourage you guys to pretty much form your own technical analysis, within the charts and not really go off of, 100% what somebody else says. We're here to teach you guys to start forming all your bases on your own, being able to get you to the point of trusting your own analysis over someone else's. And the same goes with fundamental news, fundamental analysis. We don't want them to be opinionated. We want them to be factual. So on the factual side, you do have news events, things that have happened, okay? And people give, their thorough breakdown of whatever currency pair or whatever else is going on, like Goldman predicts at least one vaccine approval. We don't want things like this, okay? Something like this to go off of. I mean, how many people are actually listening to, Forbes.com and Goldman, predicting one vaccine by the end of 2020? Like, that's really not gonna hold that much weight to what we plan to incorporate into our analysis when it comes to trading. So there are some opinionated things within the news section in forexfactory.com. What we're concerned about is the calendar portion of this. This is all factual. These are all real-time news events that have happened and that will happen in the future. They're all categorized by yellow folders, orange folders, and red folders, okay? They give their actuals for events that have already taken place, okay? They also have their forecasts, which your forecasts, they are kind of like predictions of what the actual will be, okay? Then you have the previous from the previous months, okay? So within forexfactory.com, you can pretty much look at any currency in here, or mostly majors though. It's mostly the major currencies separated by date. You have all these events that are happening, and as you can see, the more significant news is highlighted by a red folder here, okay? So this is one source, okay? And we can go back in time, we can go forward in time to see what upcoming news events are. You have all these options as far as trying to break down what time frame you want to see as far as your news goes, as far as your economic news. You go in the past, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute when we pull the charts back up. And we're going to be more current as of things that either happened today or yesterday. Okay. So as far as Forex Factory, this is pretty much all I use it for. This is all I need. There are some more in-depth sorts of economic news websites that I frequent from time to time just to catch up on what else is going on out there. But for my fundamental analysis, like the more immediate one where I can plan my trades around, then yes, economic calendars, like Forex Factory, and then we can go ahead and go to the next one, which is, I wouldn't say one of my favorites, but it does have a wealth of information in there. And if you notice, as I'm switching back and forth between these sources, they all have their own interpretation of a certain news event, okay? Some of them go into less detail, some of them go into greater detail, and it's all about personal preference when you're trying to pick which one to go off of as far as incorporating into your analysis, like which one you trust a little more than the other, okay? So investing.com, same thing. They have their own economic calendar as well. And it's important to play with the settings a little bit. Investing.com usually comes up and it defaults as the current GMT time. So you're gonna have to adjust that to whatever time zone you're in, okay? Just like we encourage you to do on your charts in TradingView, you wanna change that to whatever your current time zone is in investing.com as well. And the same goes for Forex Factory. So I'm in Arizona, so I'm gonna be GMT minus 7 hours, and then all my times will correlate to my time zone. So I won't get confused on what time a certain event is gonna be happening, okay? Investing.com, they have their own set of tabs up here. They go a little more in depth than Forex Factory does. So as far as this, they do have, more opinionated things. They have like little videos on all the not all the economic events, but certain economic events that have taken place more recently. Of course, they're big. They're a lot bigger than Forex Factory, as you can see by their layout and, the ads and all that other stuff. So the main thing that we're concerned about here as well is our economic calendar. So coming down, they have, a little snapshot of indices, commodities, ETF stocks over here on a little ticker. They also have their time correlations, and they don't use their folders. They use like a 3-star sequence to pretty much indicate the importance of a certain news event. Okay. They also have their actuals, they have their forecasts, and they have their previous. So everything that shows up in the actual, just like on Forex Factory, okay, it's already going to be a certain number there. It's going to be red or green, indicating whether or not that news was good for the currency or bad for the currency. Okay. All of them do not have a forecast. As you can see right here, there's a big blank space. Okay. Honestly, I couldn't tell you why there's not a forecast for these. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I do. But the main ones that I'm concerned about are around the pairs that I trade. I usually take USD pairs and mostly the indices in gold. Other USD pairs I do like to throw in there as well. If there's another pair that I'm interested in, then I'll go ahead and jump over to investing.com, Forex Factory, and I'll show you the third one as well. But for all intents and purposes right now, I'm usually sticking around the USD pairs, and we'll go ahead and jump over to the last news source that I really want to show you guys. But before I do that, just make sure on investing.com, guys, there's a lot of information as well. You got a Fibonacci calculator, you got your brokers, currency converters. There's a whole lot of different types of things to look at in forexfactory.com. So all of these, besides like the opinionated pieces, like I was referring to earlier, all of this stuff is very beneficial. I would highly encourage you guys to jump in here and play around with it a little bit when you do have some free time. There's never a bad time to work on your future and working on your knowledge when it comes to the fundamental analysis part of trading. Okay, so that's investing.com. I'm going to jump over to the last one real quick, and this is trading economics. Okay, trading economics is somewhat of a new site that I stumbled upon, and I really like them as well. They give the same info. It's pretty much the same. They have their tracker over here. You can pretty much switch back and forth. It pretty much looks the same. UTC 7, that's for me, -7, Arizona. You can pretty much go in here and check or uncheck any countries or any currencies that you're looking at that you want to pop up on your watch list, which is right here. And all of this is pretty much the same on the other two sites as well. You can custom a date that you want to go to and check out that date's news event. Impact, you can switch between all three of these. If you have just one star, all three of these stars will show up, or all three, all three of the stars will show up on your watch list. If you just have, just 2 checked, then medium impact, which is 2, medium impact and heavy impact will show up. Okay. And if you just click the last one, then it's all heavy impact news. Heavy impact news is displayed with this red bar around the time. Okay. They have the same things, forecast, consensus, and previous and actual. Okay. And they go they go in depth on all of their news events as well. So the same thing goes for all three of these sources. Okay. So let's just say, for instance, we're looking at the balance of trade GBP. Click on this, it will come up with a synopsis of this certain news event. And I'll give you a little summary of what that news event is comprised of. It'll give you its recent history, the last times that it was scheduled to be, I guess, brought out to the public, and it'll give you the news streams about it. It'll give you a whole lot of information on just this one news event. Okay, and give you a graph. You can pretty much change this graph up, make it a line chart, just to show like how it looks, from the past to the future to now on a scale. Okay, all of these, you can export this, and there's a whole lot of options you can do with this graph right here. Other news-related events that are related to the UK and the balance of trade, they'll be displayed over on this side. All right, come out with prices or price news events for the UK. Okay, come out with events that are centered around straight up money for the UK. Trade, government, business, all of these tabs, you can go to each and every one of these. And let's say we wanted to pull up the government debt to the GBP. We can pick this up and it'll change up here, give you a slight synopsis of that for that time frame. They give you a graph right here, and it'll also go into previous times where this certain news event has been released to the public. Okay, so trading economics, there's a lot more that goes into here, just like there is for investing.com. Okay, so picking up on certain events that have happened within the past week, we're going to jump into the correlation that your fundamental analysis has on the charts. All right, so we're going to go through here and we're going to mark these up real quick. Just give a slight markup, just to show general direction of what we're looking at for these pairs. I'm just going to do a real quick top-down analysis on these, just to show the most immediate moves of these news events that happen, that are displayed with the blue vertical line right here. Okay, so just real quick, we're going to go ahead and mark this out down here. You can already see that going on. Okay, that's the most immediate. That's on a weekly. We can also put this one up in here. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. Put that there. Now we can go ahead and drop down to our daily time frame. Right now, we're just hitting that line right now. And just a brief reminder, remember, all your lines are really zones, okay? Your lines are really zones. So treat them as such. Just because price is going to come up to a line doesn't mean it's going to magically touch it and bounce off. All right, sometimes it does. For the most part, something like this is going to wick through. This is still showing rejection from this line, okay? So as we come down, we're concerned about the most immediate portion of price when we're looking at what we plan to do as far as trying to show a certain move. We're trying to make a certain move within the market, okay? We don't really need to be worried about what happened all the way back in 2006, 2008. Maybe just to show the significance of a really heavy supported resistance that's well respected throughout time. But for the most part, mostly only concerned about the most recent price. Okay, so we can go ahead and draw a little uptrend line here on the 4 hour. So we got that. Let's drop down to the 1 and see if we have anything else. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this slightly. Okay, just so we won't be cutting in the price too much. Okay, so now that we got UJ down, we're going to go ahead and jump over to DXY. Then we'll jump over to gold. Okay, and I already have these events marked out for you guys, so we won't have to go back and look for them just for the sake of time. We already know that DXY has been dropping. So the dollar has been dropping. Right now it's in some sort of corrective phase. And hopefully we'll see a push up from here. Okay. Hopefully back up into these areas. Right now we're still stuck down here. So we're going to go ahead and mark this out, this area down here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay. We are wicking through there. And I know that's pretty big for the weekly. I really don't like my zones that big, especially when stuff has already happened down here, then and we're pushing up. I don't see the need for it to be that big. Drop down to the daily, and we can see that we have been kind of topping out up here. So I'm just going to put this at the highs, and we're going to make a zone around here for our next area. Okay, just to include a little bit more price. And this is our daily. It's going to drop down to our 4 hour. And I'm probably we're gonna adjust this lower zone. You guys remember, as you guys drop down in price, just an extra little tidbit for, you know, future trading. Sometimes it is beneficial to go ahead and move your zones down, especially if you're not a position trader or a swing trader. Go ahead and move your zones down to the end of price, so you won't really get confused if price decides to come back. Okay, and we're gonna reset that. Now we got our nice little zone down here that's really accurate. Okay, we also have a little guy up in here right about 93.20. Okay, and we just hit off that. So now we have this at the highs. Want to include as much price as I can on here, and I'm still remembering that this is a zone and not really a line. Same with down here. Okay, so that's DXY. I can probably, I don't want to throw a trend line in there. I'm only touching at 2 points, but why not? Let's see how that looks, and we'll stick with that for now. Okay, and now we're going to jump over to gold since we have our DXY and our UJ set up. Okay, now we can jump over to gold. Last markup right here. And as you guys know, gold has been steadily rising, and we finally got some sort of drop today. Actually, between last night and today. So finally got that. The previous high, I was back here on the weekly, about like 1920 something, and we're back down to there. We're back down below there. So this was our previous high, and if you guys want to be like precise, like really precise, then you go ahead and hover over this. If you didn't know, you got your open, high, low, close up here. All right, your opening of the candle, your high of that candle, your low of that candle, and your close of that candle right here. So if you hover over the high, we can see our high is 1921.070. Okay, so we can go ahead and throw that in, and we've just come back down a little bit below that in the future price right now. So it's nice to see gold back in these areas because it was just taken off. It was gone. Okay, we finally come back down. This most recent high, or this most recent all-time high, was at 2075.282. So let's go ahead and draw that in real quick. I'm only doing this with gold because gold's just been acting up, and I want to record these highs. 2075. I forgot what that was. Yeah. Okay, get rid of that. We're at 2075. 282. All right, cool. And I'm just gonna do this. 282. All right. Now we can drop down lower time frame, see what else we have. Okay. Got that. Let's go down to the 4 hour. I know we gotta draw this trend line up in here somewhere. because we have broken that, especially this one right here. So these are just quick markups, guys, quick reference to how we're going to incorporate our fundamental analysis into our technical analysis, okay? And we broke this high as well, or these highs coming through here. So the zone, all right? And this one up here as well. Price was bottoming out here and we finally passed it. So we're going to see at the catalysts, or we're going to see the fundamental events that led into gold dropping down below these levels, okay? So now we have all three of these marked up. We can go ahead and get into our news events. First one up, I want to go ahead and go over NFP. If you don't have these down here, usually I don't, but I wanted to incorporate them in here for this lesson. And I think I'm going to start keeping them in here as well, just to have a quick reminder when I am marking up charts like, hey, a news event's coming up. I can go ahead and look at my, my economic resources and kind of decipher what I want to do with my trade, or try to plan my trade out, okay? So we're on the 4 hours. Actually, I'm going to jump down to the hour, okay? So first one up is NFP. NFP was last Thursday, or last Friday, okay? If you look up these, or if you have these, or if you don't have these on here, you just go to your settings, you go to your events down here, you go to show economic events, okay? So you can have your news events pop up on your calendar, or on your chart at the bottom, okay? So that's how you bring those up. So NFP, August 7th at 5, actually it was at 5:30. So if I drop down to the 30-minute, then we can see that. And I might want to move this one over a little bit because it was at 5:30. Okay. So 5:30, August 7th. And same thing with this, guys. Change your time zone and trading view to match where you're at. Okay. It'll really help you out when you're trying to match up your technicals and your fundamentals. Okay. So now we have that. Let's go up here. We got NFP on investing.com. All right. So if we're up here, if you notice, when you click on the NFP within the economic calendar, then this news event has already happened. Okay. Happened last week. The actual was greater than the forecast. Okay. The synopsis right here, NFP measures the change in number of people employed during the previous month, excluding the farming industry. Job creation is the foremost indicator of consumer spending, which accounts for the majority of economic activity. Higher than expected readings should be taken as positive or bullish for the USD, while lower than expected readings should be taken as negative bearish for the USD. Okay, so what we're going off of here is we're expecting something to happen before this news came out. We're expecting something to happen. Okay, if we correlate this news, and this is, you can use this as a back testing method, all right, and just to see how your fundamentals line up with your technicals, all right, we saw that the actual was greater than the forecast, which means that the USD was positive or bullish, okay? So if we go ahead and correlate that, we go back to our technicals. If we know anything about gold, then we know that most of the time how it should be acting is if the US dollar is going up, then gold should be going down, and vice versa. Okay, so if we go with gold, we look at NFP over here, August 7th, 5:30 a.m. All right, gold was topping out at 2075.282 over here. NFP came out right here. Okay, so when your news events play out, they're gonna last a certain amount of time, depending on the event. Okay, on NFP, or NFP week, I usually like to let NFP play out if I'm already up for the week, because NFP usually comes out first week of the month, first Friday of the month. So if I'm already up for the week, I just won't trade Friday a lot. I like to secure my profits. I don't want to lose anything. I don't want to be on the wrong side of NFP. Okay. So as gold was topping out, as you guys can see, we did have, if you look at the 30, we did have some sort of a head and shoulders formation. Okay. Higher time frames, this would be more significant. So let's jump over to the hour. And here you can see clearly left shoulder, head, right shoulder right here. Okay. Bring this down just a little bit. Okay. So we jump back down to 30. We can see that when NFP came out, we did shoot up a little bit. We shot up a little bit, topped out, and then dropped. When news events usually come out, okay, especially something like NFP, it's going to have a sharp rise or a sharp fall, depending on the actuals of that news event, okay? So it's gonna go both ways. I don't know if you guys have seen news actually happen, especially down like the 5 minute, but if heavy news is coming out and you go down to 5 minute, that thing's gonna spike in one direction or another. There's gonna be plenty of wicks. You're gonna be confused as to which direction you should go if you are trying to trade the news. If we know anything about trading, then we know that after a head and shoulders formation, it's a good indication that price is going to continue down. Okay. When this news came out, and for those of us that were trading this formation, okay, and I'm also going to throw this in here too on the 30. I didn't see that yet. So we can throw that in at 30. We got our neckline right here for our head and shoulders. Okay. If we know anything about trading, like I said, we do know, one, the proper way to trade a head and shoulders formation is to wait for some sort of break and retest after the neckline has been touched again by the right shoulder. The more aggressive play would be to trade the right shoulder down through all of that. Okay, that's for the aggressive people. When the NFP comes out, or when it came out, we had this sharp rise all the way back up here, past here. So looking at it, and just want to show you guys these wicks, okay? Looking at this candle right here, we get this wick by price coming down and then going up, okay? And this is all in the span of 30 minutes. So this 30-minute candle is pretty significant for the beginning of NFP, or the first 30 minutes of NFP, okay? So as we get that, it may look like price is just coming down here and just shooting back up. All right. Like I said, when news comes out, especially NFP, price is going to go both ways. It's not just going to shoot in one direction and keep going. Okay. So this was the initial break, and this was the actual, the actual effects of NFP. All right. We got that continuation down, that push that we needed. From this head and shoulders, and also from the results of NFP. If we go back here, like it says right here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. A higher than expected reading should be taken as positive or bullish for the USD. Okay. Our reading was higher than expected. Our actual was higher than our forecast. So if we go back here, we know that if the DXY is going up, then gold is supposed to be coming down, which it did. Okay. Gold came down and we started stalling a little bit. Okay. But this move right here is the down that we needed. And it is the down that pretty much looked like this. All right. So this right here was the effect, the full effect of NFP. Okay. So this is putting your technical analysis together. We already know that gold was rising and it wasn't stopping. It was on a consistent uptrend. Okay. Never did it once come down at all. Maybe just to start this initial uptrend. Okay, that was the first significant bearish movement that we saw from gold in a while, especially all the way from back here, just on a constant rise. Okay, and this was another all-time high as well. Okay, a lot of people that were in here that just wanted to, have gold just keep going up, and it just came right back down to retest this previous all-time high, which was 1921.070, all the way back in what I want to say 2010, 2011. Okay, so after that we started our uptrend, came here, boom, all the way up. Okay, got our head and shoulders formation over here, NFP, boom. All right, so going off of this, we correlate that with DXY as well. All right, DXY, those NFP numbers came out higher than expected. And on your indexes, your news events will not show up at the bottom. Okay, so you kind of have to, one, if you're tracking it and you're making sure that, oh, NFP is coming out, let me make sure that, I'm up, or I have, the time marked out or whatever. You just have to correlate it with the time down here. All right, so we can see down here, August 7th, 2020. If we go down to the 30-minute, then that's going to be on at 5:30. Okay, so that's same with gold. You can see down here, NFP, August 7th, 5:30. Okay, so going back to DXY, we can see a really good boost for the USD. All right, we marked this out. We were topping out up here. We were on a pretty good uptrend, making our higher highs and higher lows on the way to about, I want to say 93.20. Okay, so at about 93.20, we had some sort of rejection. NFP came out. Remember what I said, when news comes out, then there's up and down. You see these long wicks up and down? This is indecision. All right, market didn't know where it wanted to go. This news was waiting to be, like, the initial news was waiting to take effect. Okay, so after 30 minutes, we have a sharp, really sharp push to the upside. This great big bullish candle just smashed through 93.20. Okay, and that started our continued uptrend from here. We just got a big push from the USD. So this big push pretty much triggered that push down on gold. Okay, because if the dollar is going up, then gold is coming down. And that's where we finally got some really strong bearish action from gold. Okay, now we hop over to USD Jpy, same thing. We already marked this out. This was the first markout. USD Jpy was on a steady uptrend. Okay, we had NFP right down here at 5:30 on August 7th, 5:30 a.m. And that was a continuation to the upside. You see how it still bounced and respected this uptrend line? Okay, we continued our uptrend because NFP came out as positive news for the US dollar. It was higher than expected. So that gave us a really nice push, a bounce off of this trend line almost exactly at 5:30. There was a little bit of indecision going on. Right when news came out, we got this big wick to the upside, and then we came all the way back down, and we ended in a bearish candle. But we were still within this uptrend. Next candle comes out, bullish engulfing, continuation, and another bullish candle. And that pretty much set us up for the rest of this uptrend that was respecting this trend line all throughout. Okay, so that was NFP. The next news event we're going to look at is the JOLTS job openings, okay? Let's hop on over to JOLTS job openings up here and you get a quick synopsis of what it entails, okay? And you can see right here, pretty much survey done by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Pretty much they measure job vacancies, collects data of employers and all that stuff. So we're pretty much going off of this because, one, if we're looking at the economy, we do know that this month we are, I'd say, somewhat recovering from the virus. I mean, a lot of jobs, they reopen back up. There's places that are still somewhat shut down. There's some that even won't let you in if you have a mask or not. So people are allowed to pretty much go back to work. The unemployment is still kind of up and down right now. We're still waiting on a decision when they come back from the break. And we know what's happening currently with that. But for August 10th, we're looking at the JOLTS job openings, and this number came out higher than expected. Okay. This was the actual, this was the previous. So we can also look at that. Say we look at here, say we're looking here and we don't believe it. You know, we just don't. We need some more information. Let's hop on over to Forex Factory and look at August 10th, 2020 at about, 7 a.m. because these really don't correlate with your time zone. Only the news events that come out do. The previous news events, they don't. So August 10th, let's go up here to Forex Factory. We hit August 10th, which was yesterday. We'll apply settings and we'll go ahead and go to 7 a.m. August 10th, 7 a.m., JOLTS job openings. And we're looking, and our actual is higher than our forecast, okay? So this gives us a pretty good description and a little bit more confidence knowing that, hey, if we're backtesting this, this is a pretty good source to go to as far as Forex Factory and Economic Calendar, or not Economic Calendar, but investing.com, okay? And if you click on the little folder right here, it'll give you a brief synopsis the same way investing.com does. It'll show a little bit more information on different types of news events, okay? But it'll tell you right here, actual greater than, if actual is greater than the forecast, then it's good for the currency, okay? The measures, the number of job openings during the reported month, excluding the farming industry, okay? So it's pretty much the same information we got from investing.com. So we're gonna go ahead and jump back over to the charts and see how that correlates. So as we're coming here, okay, the job openings, I would say they're not as significant as NFP week, which I think we can all agree on. But click down here, this is red, okay? This is red. Looking at Forex Factory, it's not red. It's just yellow, okay? And looking at investing.com, we're looking here, importance is red. So this is why I say it's really important to jump back and forth between different types of news sources because they will identify different news events differently. So it's best to get more than one opinion. Don't just solely stick to Forex Factory and go off of that. Go to multiple ones, okay? And go off of what TradingView says as well. If I pull this up and I'm looking here and it says, oh, it's a red candle or a red news event, and I go over to Forex Factory and like, oh, it's just yellow. Like, who do I trust? Like, I'm going to treat it as a red because somebody said it was a red, so I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to it. So seeing this, the numbers came out. The actual was greater than the forecasted, okay? And this just simply gave us a nice little bounce off of our trend line to help continue our uptrend. We were coming down, okay? This is a nice little move to the downside, all right, with some pretty good momentum. This next candle that came out was bullish, okay, which shows that momentum could be stalling. And it's looking like that news event did that for us, okay, since the numbers were greater than what was forecasted, then that gave a little push, okay, to the dollar, stopped it from falling, all right, and now we're bouncing off of this trend line. We came back a little bit more, about let's say 30 minutes later, okay, and we ended up stalling out because since the numbers were higher, it gave the US dollar a little more push to go back to the upside, continue along this uptrend, okay, instead of just crashing down through it. All right, so it strengthened the dollar as we were coming down on UJ. So we can do the same thing. We can go and look at how that treated gold. Okay, we're looking at gold. We can see down here that the JOLTS job openings happened at 7 o'clock on August 10th. Okay, and if we add a little more technical analysis to this, we can jump back out to the hour. All right, we have our zone right here. You guys saw me mark it up. We have our drop right here, our initial drop from NFP. And since the numbers for the JOLTS job openings were greater than expected, and if we add some technical analysis to it, we can go ahead and determine that our news event pretty much ended this bullish run, and we topped out at the 61.8 to go ahead and reverse from here, okay? Because if the dollar's strengthening, then gold should be going down. And this was the catalyst that triggered this down move, was that JOLTS job opening, okay? So that gave us even some more continuous movement for this pullback that happened after the initial drop from NFP. Add some technicals to it, throw our fib up there, and then boom, we hit 61.8. We get the news event coming out on the JOLTS job openings higher than expected, boosting the US dollar, which sends gold down, okay? Dollar goes up, gold goes down. Boom, that's what happened right there, all right? And that was a pretty significant move, and gold is just trickling down, all right? So hopefully nobody's trying to buy gold right now. So this is classic fundamentals with technical, especially on gold, NFP, JOLTS job openings, and looking at the DXY, we can see the same thing, okay? JOLTS job openings down here, August 10th, 7 o'clock, hour time frame, all right? We're coming up, coming down, and we're pretty much somewhat, I wouldn't say in consolidation here, we're just going up and down. JOLTS job openings comes out, gives us a nice little piercing line right here, okay? And I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, and we can also add another line right here that I completely missed. But if you guys were paying attention to our other videos that we have, we always know that our candlestick patterns are a lot more significant around areas of resistance and support. So that's exactly what we got back here, okay? Job opening comes out, dollar starts going up, which makes gold go down, okay? So last example, we'll go ahead and start from the DXY, and we'll jump. Actually, no, we're not going to start right there. We're going to start with UJ. Go back to UJ so we can see this news event. The last one, as soon as my news events pops up. Okay, cool. Last news event, PPI. Okay, that actually happened today, earlier today. So the actual for that, and there's tons of PPIs in here. All right, but if we look on Trading View, this is all we have. We have a lot of yellow folders, or like I'll call them yellow folders. We got an orange one down here. If we look at forexfactory.com, we can see that PPI was yellow on here for USD. Okay, core PPI month to month or month over month, and regular PPI month over month. Okay, you have your numbers and your actuals. Both of your actuals were higher than your forecasts. Okay, so we click on here, it's going to say the same thing. Actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So that means that the dollar should have went up, which it did. Okay. I also like this little section right here, just a little tidbit from Forex Factors. It's why traders care. Leading indicator for consumer inflation. When producers charge more for goods and services, the higher costs are usually passed on to the consumer. A lot of information in these if you just click on these yellow folders. Okay, but we can see that these news events boosted the DXY. So since we're on a USD pair, it's only natural that this pair should go up after that news event. Okay, PPI, 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 PPI. All of these are year over year, month over month, food and energy, final demand. So all of these pretty much fired off at the same time. Okay. So seeing that happened here. What happens when our news happens? We get a little up and down. This up and down pretty much gave us our other touch of initial, not initial, but gave us our other touch of this trend line to continue this uptrend. And you can see the effect of the PPI after this long bullish candle. So a lot of times you need to wait for your news to hit and to play out. Okay. Initially, when your news hits, it's gonna go up and down. It's gonna either skyrocket up, skyrocket down, go back and forth. It's gonna have some uncertainty to it. It's not gonna show you its initial move right when news hits. Okay. So this next candle came out, boom. UJ went all the way up and it's continuing up. Pretty much gave us the boost we needed to get to these levels up here, 106.5. Okay. We had our retest and now we're going back up on UJ. So that was for UJ and it enabled us to stay within this trend line. All right. So let's go and see how the DXY fared and how that looked. We were just right here. Okay. And this was it right here today at 5 a.m. Okay. And that pretty much gave us a bounce off of this trend line and about 93.20. All right. Our technicals are coming together with our fundamentals. Okay. We knew news was coming out today. PPI. We were able to stay within this uptrend and above these levels. This price was coming down, wicking up, giving us a pretty good amount of wicks. And we finally got a bounce up as soon as our PPI hit. And we just bounced off from there. And now gold is just taking off. Okay. So I'm seeing how that correlates with gold. Or actually, I said gold. I said DXY is taking off. Seeing how that correlates with gold, it gave us this break of 1980 that we needed. We can get rid of this for now. Okay. 1980 PPI. And I think back on the DXY, that was wrong. I need to change that back to 5 o'clock. We'll go look at it after this. But like I said, gave us this push, this continued push that we needed all the way down to the downside. This was not the most recent event, the second recent event. This event was pretty much the API. All this was yellow folder news. So I don't really look at yellow folder news as being significant. Ones I'm most concerned about are orange and red. So all of this is, I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but it is somewhat important. Okay. Not important is orange and red folder news. So gave us our push. We had our little retest here, especially on lower time frames. We were able to push back into this zone, probably on the 15 or even the 5. Okay. Barely tapped this zone, more continuation down. And after initial news came out, we're on the hour. Let me drop down to 30. See how that looks. Okay. This is your initial news. A little up and down. Not too much. Okay. But the next candle, and then the next candle, and then the next candle. You kind of see what I'm saying? This gave us our push. Okay. This was the news when it came out. This is the next 30-minute candle. This is the next one. So this is 6 o'clock. This is within an hour. And we got our push. Our technicals come in when price kind of corrects itself a little bit, starts flagging out. Okay. So we have our drop right here. This was initial news. Okay. We have our little flag right here. And then we have some more drop from there. Kind of pushing past these levels. Okay. Then all this is just technicals after this. We're getting a lot of playing around. We're already on a pretty good downtrend. We're still riding all of this news that came out back here that made us, or made gold pretty much push to the downside in the first place. You had your NFP over here. You had your Usd job opening that bounced off to 61.8 to come more to the downside. And then you had your PPI right here to go ahead and help us continue past 1980 to the downside. Okay. Looking at the DXY, I'm going to go back here and correct this real quick so I don't get anything. Okay, cool. We're still at 5 o'clock. So, hope that gave you guys a pretty good insight on how to backtest fundamental news and your sources that you need to go to that are very beneficial, and you can incorporate that into your trading. I know me, for one, I'm going to be keeping these news events or these economic events down here on the bottom of my charts, just so I can be reminded that, hey, news is coming up for this currency pretty soon. You might want to check out one of your sources and plan your trade accordingly around that. So one thing I do want to emphasize, guys, is that when you are trying to place a trade, you're doing your analysis, you're doing everything right. You're getting second opinions if you need some help. You got everything right. You know this news is coming out pretty soon. Actually, no, let's not even say pretty soon. I want to jump back to UJ real quick, just to show an example. Okay. And this goes for everybody that likes to trade around news events. Something like this, a move like this, all three of these news events happened around our trend line to give us some extra push going up, right? Okay. So this one I can see because it gave us a third touch of this trend line. We're taking it up. Give us our third touch to pretty much confirm our uptrend, right? Because we were coming down, especially on higher time frames, we had essentially a break and a retest of this zone coming back up. Okay, and if you want to throw some technicals in there as well, you can. We can take from here, and then we can see that price is bouncing off 50 fib down here. Okay, for just some extra confluence. All right. So if we have this, we're coming up. We drop down lower time frames, and we see that on the 30, we're getting our third touch right around here, right after this news event. Okay. From that point on, you have all your news events down here. You know that U.S. news is coming up further down the line in the future, okay? So when you have your analysis down, you take your entry off of your confirmations, all right? You got a 50 fib in the zone. You got a trend line, boom. Say you take your trade right here, okay? Right when it passes, or it pretty much breaks the 38 on the way up, comes down and retests 38. All right, starting to come back up. News hits, boom, take a trade on the way up. That's cool. The rest of the time, this is where you want to stay in. This is what you want to be in. You want to be in your trade from down here, okay? Because this is a solid entry. This is all of our past sequence of events coming together to be able to take our trade. All right, and we just went over that. Okay, we got a break, retest, boom, hit our fib, hit the 50, it's coming up, broke 38, came up, came down, retested the 38 around here as news was happening, and then boom, we take our trade, take it to the upside. Classic break and retest on both sides. Okay, you want to stay in this trade. You want to ride this thing out because you know that news is coming up again. Okay, now if you want to be aggressive and you want to take this from, you just want to take that bar, that's about 30 pips, cool. Because at some point, price is going to start turning back around the 23.6 because you know that each and every fib level holds some sort of significance. So you take a trade, boom, you out, and you pretty much wait until the next time. This is going to be a more risky trade because you're going to be riding this trend line, okay, hoping that this news that comes out isn't going to push you out, isn't going to keep going down to the downside because it kind of looks like it does. But if you do everything how you were taught as far as looking at DXY, looking at the news event and making sure that, the actuals that come out are greater than the forecast, then you should be good to continue and taking that up. But the point is you want to be on the right side of the news before that news happens. Okay? Before that news happens, you want to be on the right side of it, and you can pretty much just take this. As this news event happens, you get your entry down here, you can take this all the way up here. And that's over 100 pips. Okay? Instead of jumping in and out, you can take 30 here, and then once this hits again, comes up to the 38, you notice that it's kind of topping out. You take another 40, and you take this here. Okay, you can do that. But that's 3 trades that you're going to be pretty much, I wouldn't say anguishing over, but you're going to do your analysis, and you're going to hope you're right on it. You're going to hope that news actually plays out the way you expect it to play out instead of doing it just once from down here and riding that thing up. Okay. So you always want to you want to make sure you're on the right side of the news way before that news hits. This first one, yeah, I can see that. But if you were to take it here, then yeah, you'd be in it way before this news hit. Okay. So as far as that, I would like to see if anybody has any questions, any comments, concerns, anything that you didn't understand while I was going over this. This is only the start of learning how to trade with fundamentals, okay? Because it takes practice. It takes dedication. It takes paying attention to detail. It takes getting into these economic calendars and these events and really, really trying to understand if you're going to be on the right side of a trade, okay? Because if you just wing it and either your analysis is off or your fundamentals is off, then the news is going to burn you, okay? So it takes practice. I'm still practicing it myself. No one's ever too great. No one's ever too big to pursue their own education to get better at their craft. And I like to pride myself around there. And so does my partner, Marcus Thomas. We both make up S&M Trading. So we're both constantly trying to improve ourselves. Love helping people out. We love doing these educational series for you guys. And hopefully you guys were able to take something from this. I really encourage you to go through these different websites and really find out what works better for you, whichever information you can pull up from these and kind of correlate with the other websites to pretty much form your own analysis, your fundamental analysis on what's going to end up happening. And then combine that with your technical analysis, and pretty soon you're going to be unstoppable, okay? Because you know that a certain catalyst from an economic event is going to push price in your desired direction when you're trading, okay? So as far as that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If there's anything else that you guys want to, I guess, pretty much say or discuss, or anything that I left out, please don't hesitate to either call me or, I don't know, just hit me up. You guys got my number. You guys know where I'm at. And that's about it.